Concerts are great. You can pay $500 to give Pink your mother's ashes.
This is your mom? I don't know how to feel about this.
I'm gonna say the one thing everyone else is too afraid to say.
What?
In the past, spots on this list have belonged to folks like Rolling Stones, Madonna, Guns N' Roses. So to me at least, it's weird to kick this list off with Pink. Pink is quietly one of our biggest pop stars. The last time I remember being conscious of one of her hits was like a decade ago. And yet, she sold more records than Shania Twain and Prince. And she was the face of the 10th highest grossing tour of all time. This is a good one to start with though, because it's kind of the typical tour of the modern age. Sparkly outfits, pyrotechnics, big set decorations, interpretive dance, audience participation.
And yes, in case you're wondering, she does the flying acrobatics. Ow.
Pink's overall touring haul in 2023 and 2024 was around $700 million, though that money is split between the Summer Carnival Stadium Tour and the Trust Fall Arena Tour. But I don't care about Trust or Falling. I only care about summer and carnivals. Across 97 shows, Summer Carnival brought in around 4.8 million attendees and a total gross of about $584 million.
Also, and this applies for all the other tours on this list, that number only considers ticket revenue. It does not account for merch or concessions or anything else.
It also doesn't account for love, which is why Harry Styles is above Pink. Harry announced Love on Tour after his 2019 album Fine Line, with it scheduled to kick off in early 2020. But because of COVID, it kicked off in late 2021. By the end, the tour promoted both Fine Line and his 2022 album, Harry's House.
Oh, I love what you've done with the place.
Many of the tours on this list were extravagant and very proudly wore their budgets on their sleeves, but Love on Tour was comparatively pared down. Harry and his band were either in the middle of the venue with fans all around or in front of the audience with a more conventional setup. The focus of this tour was instead community, bringing together Harry fans of all different styles, and the tour received excellent reviews all around for it. Love on Tour ran for 169 shows between September 2021 and July 2023, bringing in around 5 million people and a total gross of about $617 million. Nowadays, you can find Harry running marathons in under 3 hours. Bro, how?
If that were me in that marathon, I'd be running well after hours. I'd be running till dawn. I'd be running tour.
The Weeknd's 7th concert tour was initially planned to kick off in 2020 in promotion of his album After Hours. Of course, that didn't happen. It instead launched in July 2022. As of now, this tour has been in promotion of not only After Hours, but also Dawn FM and Hurry Up Tomorrow. I've heard live sound engineers describe their job as building an entire city for every show, and this tour takes that idea literally. The visuals depict an apocalyptic city during a cosmic cataclysm, all soundtracked by Abel and his cool Scooby-Doo mask. The tour's kickoff at SoFi Stadium had the city on an LED screen on one end of the stage and a giant moon on the other. In Europe, the team made the city more physical by constructing buildings that the band would play on, plus a giant woman statue. Sao Paulo even got a big-ass building in the center of the stage. Dude, I love buildings. In keeping with Abel's ambitions outside of music, 2 multimedia projects were involved with this tour: his HBO series The Idol and his film Hurry Up Tomorrow. I made a whole video about the former, and I still haven't seen the latter. I am not expecting it to be good or to have a script or a story, but as long as it has cool visuals and one funny moment from Abel, I'll be happy. 102 shows, 5.1 million tickets sold, and a total gross of about $635 million so far.
I say so far because it's not done yet.
Yep, as of this video, this tour has not officially ended. He's done for 2025, but he has several more shows scheduled for 2026, mostly in South America and Europe.
So I'll offer a disclaimer. If The Weeknd's tour can raise another 100 million or so by the end of 2026, then it will become the 7th highest grossing tour of all time. But until that happens, that title goes to
Last night I stood at your doorstep.
The Boss, The Street, Need I Say More? This was the most recent tour by Bruce and his band, who were already renowned for their live performances. They are legends at this point, and the public's hunger to see them live again was strong, only abated by Bruce's Broadway residency in 2017 and 2018. This tour was initially planned to kick off in 2020, but say it with me now,
the tour was pushed back due to COVID.
It would kick off properly in February 2023. But that wasn't the only issue this tour faced. Many members of the band got COVID themselves, several shows were postponed due to Bruce's battle with peptic ulcer disease, and their participation in Ticketmaster's verified fan program meant some tickets were priced insanely high. Not a great image for someone who is seen as a voice for the working class. But despite all the issues, even in their twilight years, they still put on one hell of a show. By the tour's end in July of this year, Bruce and his band had played 129 shows for nearly 5 million people and brought in a total of $729.7 million. Their biggest tour ever.
Now, if you've been following my most expensive things in music journey, you might be wondering why this video isn't about the most expensive tours of all time. And that's because that data is really hard to find.
Production costs for concert tours are not readily available, and even when they are, the numbers are only really public for older tours, like pre-2015.
However, if you're curious, the most expensive tour of all time, as of now, is considered to be
U2's 360 tour was named for its circular stage design, allowing folks to stand all around the band. The goal was a greater proximity to and a deeper connection with the audience, with an extra benefit of making room for more seats. While this kind of setup wasn't invented by U2, one could argue it did popularize it for stadiums and larger spaces in the 2010s and 2020s. So if the band is just playing on a circle, then why was this tour so expensive? The Claw was the nickname for this 170-foot tall contraption that stood above the circular stage. 4 legs, with each having its own dedicated sound system and video screens.
One attendee every show could control the Claw and try to pick up one of the U2 guys, and if they got one, they could take him home.
The Claw was a big reason why the 360 tour was expensive, and not just to build it. The band had to pay extra in certain venues in order to raise the ceiling enough so that the Claw could be brought in. On top of the Claw, the scope of this tour was wild. 180 trucks needed to transport the whole stage setup, 140 dedicated crew members who were assisted by another 120 or so local stage hands for each show, and don't forget, loads of insurance required for all that gear and crew.
This number is speculative, so take it with a grain of salt, but the total estimated cost of the 360 tour was around $260 million. Was all of that money spent worth it? Yes, absolutely 100% yes.
Between June 2009 and July 2011, U2 played 110 shows for 7.27 million people in total, and they earned a final gross of $736.4 million. A remarkable achievement, especially since the tour kicked off during a major recession. At the time, this was both the highest grossing and highest attended tour in history, and it held both titles until 2019.
Talking about this tour from the 2010s made me realize something. Most of the tours on this list happened hella recently.
Take me down to Recency City, where the grass is green and everyone was born within the past 5 years. I know we talk up COVID as a major driver for people's interest in live music, but the numbers confirm that drive emphatically. In fact, only 2 of the tours on this list completed their run before 2020, U2's 360 tour and
That's right, everybody. It's your favorite boy.
Ed Sheeran's Divide tour was, of course, in support of his album Divide, the one with the bum, 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 you know the one. The tour kicked off right after the album's release in March 2017. What makes this tour immediately different from the rest is its scale. In terms of production, this was even smaller than Harry's Love on Tour. The whole show is just Ed on stage with his guitar and a loop pedal. That's it. No other musicians, no dancers. The only thing keeping him company up there was a big-ass screen.
I don't have the hard numbers in front of me, so don't take this as pure gospel, but I would imagine that this was the cheapest tour to produce on this list.
Aside from that, it's kinda hard to find any special aspects of this tour. It's just a boy and his loop pedal. And in tandem, there aren't many special stories related to the tour happening. The only issue that came up was Ed suffering a bone fracture from a bike accident, which led to some shows getting canceled.
Have you ever felt relieved and then immediately after felt like an asshole? Guys, don't worry, it wasn't COVID that canceled some tour dates this time. It was just Ed breaking his arms.
By the time the tour wrapped in August 2019, Ed had played 255 shows for about 8.88 million people and raked in about $776.2 million. Meaning the Divide Tour took both records that were previously held by the 360 Tour, and it held them until number 1 and number 2 on this list snatched them up, respectively. With results like this, it's hard to be divided over Ed Sheeran's success.
Let's read a letter now from Mail the Bag. Dear Mike, I would like to see Ed Sheeran again on this list. Okay, I'll do that.
I gave Ed Sheeran another $800 million so he could be on this list again. You're welcome. Kicking off in April 2022, the Mathematics Tour promoted both Equals and Subtract, but in effect, it was a greatest hits of his albums up to that point. Ignoring this one for some reason. Ed was once again up on stage solo for most of the show, though this time he was occasionally visited by other musicians, either as part of his band or as a guest. Instead of the traditional stage setup with the big-ass screen, this tour had Ed on a circular stage surrounded by several medium-ass screens. Wow, first he takes U2's Titles, then he rubs it in their faces. But as reviews noted, this was a good setup for Ed. The audience felt closer to him, and with a stage in the middle of the venue, there were no truly bad seats in the house. By the tour's end in September of this year, Ed had played 169 shows for about 8.8 million people and brought in a total of $875.7 million. I look forward to his next math-themed tour.
Can I also just take a quick second to ask? A lot of the clips I've been sourcing for tour footage have come from people recording the entire show. So like people on their phones recording for 2-3 hours straight. To anyone who records these concerts, are you okay? Like, how shredded are your arms after holding up your phone for 3 hours?
When are you gonna come down?
This one's a bit bittersweet. The Farewell Yellow Brick Road Tour, as the title implies, was Elton John's farewell tour. After 50 years of performing, Elton was gonna hang up his cap. Or shades and sparkly jacket in this case. The total date range of this tour might surprise you, but he did not technically tour for 5 years straight. COVID took him off the road for most of 2020 and all of 2021, plus a hip surgery required him to postpone a few dates. But aside from that, this was an extravagant rundown of Elton's greatest hits, accompanied by photos and videos from throughout his career. Sadly, no guest appearance from the Kingsman Robodog. But the tour wasn't solely a victory lap. It also allowed Elton to scoop up a few more accolades. One performance in 2022 was released as a Disney Plus special, and the Emmy it won made Elton an EGOT. Plus, his final UK stop was at Glastonbury 2023. 120,000 people there, plus 7.3 million watching online, made Elton the most watched festival act ever. So if this truly was it, he went out with a bang. 330 shows, 6 million total attendees, and a total gross of $939.1 million. If there's any fault I can find with Elton's tour, it's that I couldn't cheat on my spouse there. I go to Coldplay shows for that. In case you and I haven't properly met yet, Mike the Snare, your resident Coldplay defender. Here's my business card. The Music of the Spheres World Tour. Coldplay's tour promoting the album of the same name, plus its follow-up, Moon Music. In tandem, the tour's aesthetic was inspired by space and the cosmos, with large spherical screens to show the band playing, or you know.
Oh, look at these two.
Now, this was the band's first tour since they went out on the road for Head Full of Dreams. After that, they held off on touring because COVID, of course, but also because they wanted to make a show that was environmentally sustainable. Along with the music and the Dancing Chris, folks who went to this tour were treated to solar panels, power bikes, and dance floors that generated electricity. All that wasn't for show either. The band put out a report in June 2024 with data assistance from MIT, and it showed they had decreased CO2 emissions by 59% compared to their last tour. Nice job. As of their most recent show in September of this year, Coldplay have played 211 shows and pulled in about $1.386 billion. And while this tour is only second on this list, it does hold the title of the highest attended tour ever, with a total of 12.3 million attendees so far. Like The Weeknd, Coldplay are not done yet. Just a month ago, Chris Martin said the tour would run well into 2027 with another 138 shows to go.
So it's possible that Coldplay could take the top spot once this tour is done, but I'm doubtful. And the reason is, in order for them to do that, they'd need another $1 billion.
Yeah, it kind of had to be this one. This is where a tour isn't a tour, but something bigger. Dare I say, we may look back on the first half of the 2020s and find that the Eras Tour was the defining musical event of the time, more so than any song or album. Part of that was due to the timing. Taylor Swift hadn't toured since 2018. She had released 2 critically acclaimed albums in 2020, plus a well-received album in 2022. She was starting to re-record her previous albums in order to own her masters. But the tour she announced in late 2022 wasn't just for those new albums. It was billed as a career retrospective, a 3-hour, non-stop celebration of all things, most things Taylor Swift. Demand for this tour was high. Fans crashed the pre-sale website and turned Ticketmaster into public enemy number 1. You could argue, if the Eras Tour never happened, Ticketmaster would not be under federal investigation. To say the Eras Tour was a success would make me a comedy haha guy. Rave reviews, stadiums all over the world sold out, and a firm grip on music and pop culture for 2 years straight. There is actual data to show that the Eras Tour boosted the local economy of every town it passed through. This wasn't even a tour at a certain point. It was a stimulus package disguised as a concert. Living the life of a showgirl definitely paid off for Taylor. 149 shows, 10.1 million attendees, and a total gross of $2.2 billion, making the Eras Tour the highest grossing tour of all time.
Are you ready for it?
If there's one thing you can take away from all 10 of these tours, it's that they took a lot of work, people, and money to pull off. But performing live shouldn't force you to break the bank. Fortunately, modern technology is making it easier than ever for you to deliver professional quality performances without the massive logistical overhead of traditional touring setups. For example, this video's sponsor Mackie just released a brand new battery-powered portable PA system, 2 Thump Go loudspeakers, 2 Thump Sub Go subwoofers, and a Pro FX10 Go mixer, plus rechargeable batteries. No need to worry about finding a power supply or riding a bike for a whole concert. I mean, you can if you want, since it does help the environment, but at that point, that's your own personal decision. With excellent sound quality and a stellar reputation for durability, Mackie's complete battery-powered PA system is the full experience of a professional live sound system. Anytime, anywhere. Click the link in the description to learn more about Mackie's new PA system. Thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Off into the sun I go with my Mackie PA system.